to remove the seals and the sleeve in the prop shaft here, and this O-ring, broken O-ring that I found in the front of the case, I figured out where that went. I went back and looked at the parts manual, and serial numbers after 56,000 and some have this O-ring and this sleeve and another O-ring back there. Mine is 54,000 and something, but it still has it, so I don't know if somebody put it in aftermarket or what, but I'm gonna pull all this stuff off. Like I'm using these tools again for this small stuff. I guess this is why I'm not a dentist. So there's the O-ring. Now I'm just going to try and puncture these seals here. Oh yeah, you can tell they're already gone, sort of punctured already. Got the spring out of it. That was easy. And some other guy on here, you see this moving, he was told by the dealer, don't pull that out because it could have a hard time getting it back in to the point where you might have to pull the rest of the case off. So I'm going to do the best I can at not pulling that out. So I got the first one out, and this is what it ended up looking like. Ended up having to get a screwdriver and pry it down. The second one was back there even further, and what I ended up doing, I tried prying it out, couldn't get anything in there, so I put a little heat up here and under here, and then I stuck that tool in, and it popped out. Now all that's left to get out is this sleeve right here. We'll see how easy that comes out. So I'm just going to hook it in back. Whoops, hope I didn't pull anything out there. Wow, this bearing is supposed to be sort of pressed on, but it isn't. Oh, there. It's in the spot it is. So I'm going to see if I can, whoops, I'm real worried about pulling this out too far because of what that one YouTuber said about if you pull this all the way out, this shaft, it'll be bad. I'm going to try heating this up too. Here's a spacer that goes behind the two. Spacer goes behind the two seals. I was having trouble getting the seals out of this prop shaft, and then I have to get this off also. It's a sleeve. So I looked at the the book really close the parts and all that, and there's nothing attached to this except at the other end there was a spline. And I thought it was pinned in there because it showed a hole in it. So I pulled it out and it all came out, and then I went to put it back in and nothing, it wouldn't go in, blah, 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 and I started cursing. So I'm glad I pulled it out because this sleeve on the inside is wearing, and this bearing, it's supposed to be a press on, but it's pretty, I can get it off. That's the only thing that's in there hard. So I tried putting it back in and it wouldn't work, and I'm shoving the flashlight in there, and then I take my magnetic thing here just to see if, because there's supposed to be a spline, and I'm wondering if it's still in the shaft. Well, I finally got the magnet to turn it some, and I was able to pull it out. So this is the spline. It goes on the end of this, and then it joins with the spline coming in the other end. I'm sorry, this is a coupling, a spline coupling. So anyway, it joins, and I'm not going to put it in there too far because I don't want to have to do it again. It attaches to that, and that's what makes everything work. So when I pulled that out, it came off, and then I ended up finally seeing it and getting it a little bit with the magnet, but it caught on some of the lips here. So then I just took some trusty old baling wire and made a little hook, and I was able to funnel it in there and catch it and slowly bring it out. So that was a pain in the butt, but you're not going to just, like the one guy on YouTube said, he was told don't do it or you're going to have to take the whole thing apart. If you pull it out, this spline is either going to stay on there on the other end, which would be nice, or it's going to stick on here. But regardless, just try and pull it out as carefully and center as you can so it doesn't catch on anything. And if it does, don't get all thumbed out. Have this magnet and a hook and a flashlight you can see in there, and probably be better if you had younger eyes. I can't see worth crap, but I managed to do it. Now I gotta order a couple more parts. It's been about 10 days since I was here last. I finally got all the parts to put the rear prop shaft for the four-wheel drive in through the transmission. So I put a bunch of grease on this splined coupling. I got to feed it in there to the back and hope I can get it in there. I've already put one of these sleeves on. They're sort of a press fit. I didn't put it all the way on because I want to make sure I can slide this all the way in and make a good connection with it. This bearing slides on here pretty easily, but it's a press fit going into the bore here. So I'm going to put a little bit of a PB blaster on this to help it slide better. And I held this back some. You can see where it's supposed to go right there. I held it back some so I can get a good seal. Make sure it's in there as far as it's going to go. So this is the new sleeve, and this is sort of a press fit. It's sort of rubber lined. What I did on this, I froze this in the freezer, and then I just put some heat on here, lubed it up with this assembly lube. Going to put some here in the bearings also. So I just used a piece, I think this is 1-inch electrical PVC to get this going. And a mallet doesn't, rubber mallet doesn't seem to work, but this 3-pound hammer was working for the first one. There. Okay, so we got it there. Let's see how well I can thread this in here. Okay, so I'm having a slight problem. Hopefully I can get it out without losing it. Okay, that looks like it might have went. Okay. That looks like it's in where it's supposed to go. So now I'm just going to throw this on and hopefully I can beat the whole thing in there. Oh. Okay, that baby is in. I don't know if you can see it, but that bearing I tried pushing in there yesterday. Everything was cool and the bearing was warm, but today it slid in there pretty good. So I just got a couple seals to put in here, and they're in the freezer right now. I'm just gonna wait on them, and there's a spacer that needs to go on here also. This thing right there, and then the 2 seals go in over that sleeve. So I'm going to give it a few minutes for those seals to freeze up and contract a little bit more, and then I'll be back. Okay, time now to put the oil seals in, and this was a 3/4 inch PVC, electrical PVC, that I used to get the sleeves and bearings in place. I'm going to up my game now to a 1 inch that I had laying around. That'll be a better fit. I went ahead and greased this thing, the lips and all that, slide on there better. And again, this came out of the freezer, so hopefully it'll go in there a little better. And this isn't, I wish I could have had something just a hair bigger for driving this in here, but this should work. Okay. That's bottomed out. Okay. And I believe that's in as far as it's going to go. Then we have these O-rings we got to put on. I had quite the adventure getting all these parts. I like to try and buy local, but they're really trying my patience. I ordered a bunch of stuff, 7 to 10 days to get to Alaska from the local dealer, and they had these 2 seals in stock, so I brought them home, and they weren't the right seals. They had inadvertently put the wrong seal number in the wrong bin. It was 2 numbers were swapped. So they ordered me 2 more. I went in to pick them up the other day and they only had ordered me 1. So they were gonna send a quick freight, and got up here. Well, meanwhile I came home and started really going through the things I got. They were supposed to send me 2 oil seals and I only got 1, so the other one that is going to go on here, this goes on next. That pushes right up there against the O-ring, and then, or the O-ring, that pushes the O-ring into there, and then there's an O-ring that goes on the back side of this. Well, I got that as close as I could at a local stop, like the Hydraulic Center in Fairbanks. They're like the O-ring capital of Fairbanks. They have thousands of them. So I got one that's really close, if not exact, and we're going to put that on, give her a try. Put a little grease on this. There. So now that is ready to push into the front of this beast. Only other thing I want to do, I got to put this back on right there. So I just got to put some of the gray, who makes it? Permagasket maybe. Put some of that on and put that on. Then I'm